Hi, everyone. It's Pastor Dan with uplifting thoughts for today. The story of Jesus is the greatest story ever told. And is this your favorite time of the year? It sure is mine. I love everything about this time of the year. The way we celebrate it with the lights and the decor. It's such an uplifting season, I think. And I even like watching Christmas movies. One thing's for sure, there are far more today to choose from than when my favorite Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life, was made back in the black and white days. And the other day, I was sitting down to watch something Christmassy. Is that a word? You know, a real story in the real world about real people getting ready for Christmas. And I must admit, I clicked and I clicked. I went from channel to channel, one story after another. I couldn't find a show that was right for me in that time. So one thing I did find out is that there's hundreds to choose from, and I finally found one that I liked. It was a story where everything was going wrong for everybody. And you know, that's a lot like the Christmas story Matthew tells in the Gospel of Matthew. The greatest story ever told is about real people dealing with real challenges in a real world. And sometimes I think we gloss over it in the way we want it presented. It's so easy to overlook the details that Matthew tells us, and instead present the story with a rosy hue, where everything is just perfect. Perfect decoration, perfect presentation, candlelight, and a hush little baby, don't cry calmness with beautiful music. You know what I mean? But Matthew tells us the story is not fantasy. It's a real story for the real world about a real person named Jesus, the son of King David and Abraham, our father. Matthew begins with a long genealogy showing us God's family is very diverse and far from perfect. Some of the children in God's family are conceived under difficult circumstances, and we're told the persons in Jesus' family are far from perfect. In fact, Matthew doesn't gloss over the sordid details, but includes them to show us God is very gracious to everyone, as we would say, to the good, the bad, and even the very ugly. Matthew chapter 1 verse 18 says, "So here finally is the story of the birth of Jesus the Anointed. It is quite a remarkable story." So it shouldn't surprise us after we read such a long, inclusive genealogy that the conception of the baby Jesus is under strange circumstances. Even the birth of Jesus was surrounded with uncertainty, and there was no place for him except in an animal's feeding trough, and still, life was dangerous, and his family had to flee to another country for refuge. So let's remember that in our favorite time of year, where there's so much excitement and so much celebration of the season of hope, peace, joy, and love, life can still throw us a curveball. After all, living in this world can be difficult because at this time of year, some of us can feel downright embarrassed by their struggles and perhaps even wonder if their anguish during this season is unfaithfulness. I think not. But if you're experiencing the difficulties of life, whatever circumstances you're faced with today, the greatest story ever told can be your story too. Listen to Matthew 1 verse 18. Isaiah, the prophet, wrote to Israel, foretelling the story of Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. A virgin will conceive and bear a son, and his name will be Emmanuel, which in Hebrew, the name means God with us. That means whatever life's throwing at you, whatever you're going through, you're not alone. God's with you. God walks with you, and God knows your name, your circumstances, and invites you to call out to him, to trust him. For the greatest story ever told is a story for real people in a real world facing real challenges, and his name is Emmanuel, which means God really is with us, with all of us. Hey, thanks for listening. See you in church.